Hey, welcome to Youthology Live. It's Sunday night and it's time for 12 minutes of learning. I know it takes a while for you to join us live on Facebook from the studio audience, okay? So I'm gonna take the first minute here, I'm coming on a little early to let you know what's going on and how we do this. In case you choose to join us on some of the other formats, okay? So right now, we are doing a Q&A, okay? A question and answer for the next 12 minutes or so, okay? So what I need you to do is to send me a question right now, okay? As a matter of fact, that's why I've got my glasses on, okay? And I know you can't see that in the podcast, but here on Facebook and on YouTube, you'll be able to follow us and you'll see that I have these nice, my reading glasses on. So, hey, listen, 2 questions were sent in to us, all right? But I really would rather go live with this. Okay, this is a totally live tonight. So while I'm stalling, okay, Kian and others who are coming in there, I saw you pop up. Send me a question and we're gonna deal with that because this is a resource for you. This is to help you, okay? So here's the resource that I give out every week, and this is my reading for February. Every month I read a book, and this month is Barna Trends 2018. If you haven't seen it, it is the study that was done by the Barna Group and Church and Culture. And many of you have heard us say before that I believe youth pastors and youth leaders should be the greatest sociologists on the planet, okay? Again, thank you for joining us, Bernice, Kian, and Michelle. Please send a question right now because I want to answer those questions, okay, live here in just a few moments. But anyway, I really want you to get this because it helps you understand not only the church and ecclesiology and how we do church, but culture, okay, and sociology, because I don't think you can separate sociology and ecclesiology, okay? So anyway, hopefully this is something that will be valuable to you in the future, okay? Again, Barna Trends 2018. So tonight, as I mentioned, as people are joining us on all kinds of formats, welcome to Youthology Live, and we are answering your questions, okay? And I'm not seeing any questions come yet. Actually, Sherry is asking a question about the books. Do you still have those books? So if you mean the first book that I wrote, If Job Had Twitter, yes. And if you'd like to order them, you can order them on our website, or you can order them at Amazon.com also, okay? Hashtag If Job Had Twitter, all right? So what I would like for you to do is to text somebody now and post some questions. You can see that I'm stalling, okay? And post some questions. Otherwise, I'm going to get to the 2 that were sent to me ahead of time, all right? So text a friend, put a question on here right now. Ryan and share others. I see you joining us. The list is growing, but again, this is 12 to 15 minutes, so I need you to save the show. You are the show. You are the studio audience tonight, okay? I don't want to go default to the questions that were sent ahead of me. And somebody just texted me and said, what does your shirt say? It's for the youth, okay? It's for the youth. Yes. So if you are able right now, okay, text us, send us a question. And you know the other formats. The other formats are, once we're done with this on Sunday nights, then I take and post-product this and put some graphics and some music underneath it, and we drop it down onto Youthology, youthology.com. That's our website, and we have a viewing page there, and you can follow all of our past videos. This is episode 33. No, 34. Okay, like I said, this is live tonight, okay? Well, I guess we normally are, but then once we're done with Sunday nights, then we drop this onto all of the other formats. You'll see it on all of our social media. You'll see it on our iTunes account. You can podcast that sometime this week, and then also on YouTube, okay? So, hey, follow us on YouTube. I'm trying to build that up, you know. That's where a lot of the kids are at today. And all 34 of those videos you can see there. All right. So again, thank you for joining us for 12 minutes. And our first question has come from Kian. Kian, I'm so glad you sent the question. What were some of the things that you did that improved your leadership development systems? What are some of the things that you did that improved your leadership development systems? Well, I think leadership development is one of the keys to ministry. I like to say it this way: healthy youth leaders create healthy youth ministry. And we've posted on this before, but let me do this live because the question just came. Ian, one of the things that I've tried to do to improve our systems is to teach the youth leaders. We cannot assume, okay, hear me, we cannot assume that all of the youth leaders are proficient in sociology, understand the youth culture, are excited about the campus, get the movies that are out, the music that's out, you know. I think the majority of our youth leaders are pretty schooled sociologically and get the culture of our teenagers. But our job is to teach them, to train them. And that's, you know, that to me is one of the key roles that we have. Not just preaching, but teaching, okay? So what I would do is go over, with your leadership team, go through a book, right? Go through, I'll post some, okay? I'll post some on the blog. The blog opens up on Tuesday also, this whole manuscript. So I'll post some of those there. You could take these videos. There's a youth group in Texas that takes these videos from Sunday night, and what they do is sit down, because there are meetings on Sunday night. They sit down and they go through the video, these live, Sunday night lives, and they use that as their teaching on a monthly basis. So that, you know, that's something you could do. The second thing in improving your youth leadership, okay, is to have regular meetings. And sometimes we don't think about that, do we? The more I run into youth groups around the country, I'm finding that they are not meeting on a regular basis. This past weekend, I was at the Northern Missouri Youth Summit with churches from Kansas City to St. Louis. About 40 churches and 135 or so youth leaders. And one of the youth leaders came to me, and we were talking about this leadership question that Kian just asked. And I asked him just simply, hey, when is your youth leadership meeting? And he, kind of sheepishly said, man, we haven't had one in a while. Well, right there is part of the issue of having consistent discipleship and shared ownership in the youth ministry. So I think aside from number one, having teaching and training of your youth leaders, we need consistent youth leadership meetings. Some of you, I'm going to scare you when I say this, our youth leadership meetings met every week. I know some do it monthly, some do it quarterly. I think quarterly's, that's not enough, because if someone happens to not be there, then you're not seeing them for months. And that's why, at least at the minimum, it should be monthly leadership meetings. But man, I like weekly or bi-weekly, and turning them into small groups so that people aren't too busy, with other things too and whatever. But okay, then the other thing is student leadership. If you want to improve your adult leadership, create a student leadership team, because what that does is bring the students on board, and maybe they join your adult leadership meeting once in a while. And when that happens, there's this reverse mentoring that can go on, right? And adults see the passion of teenagers and they really get excited about that. And the other thing it does is it helps these adults mentor the younger students, okay, the younger student leaders, because they're with them all the time. And when you mentor someone, that brings growth in your own life too, doesn't it? Okay, so great question. And I'm going to move to the second question now. Okay, Kian asked that first question. You can go back and check that out and follow us along the rest of the week. But the second question was, I'm having a problem with my lead pastor. What do I do? Well, first of all, let's get this right, okay? The lead pastor is having a problem with you. Sorry, but I love you. Okay, you work for him or her, okay? And I know there's this idea, listen, not every lead is perfect and understands that too. And maybe your lead wasn't a youth pastor, and maybe there are a few other things on your lead's mind that aren't on yours, right? So let's get to perspective first. You might be having a problem, okay, but it may be something that's in your control, all right. So what I would do, first of all, this question came this weekend in our leadership summit, also in Missouri. But what I would do, first of all, is to have a sit down with your lead and get specifics. Okay, if you're sensing that there's no chemistry, or things aren't right, or maybe it's cold, or whatever, then you be the mentee. Chase the mentor, chase your lead, ask for an appointment, sit down with them, and ask them the question. Listen, I just feel like maybe, we don't have the chemistry that's going on. I feel like I don't have enough wins for you. And I just want you to know, what do I have to do? Okay? Because you're in the servant role, okay? You're in the servant role as the youth pastor, okay? As the youth leader, if you're a volunteer. You got to remember this. There is a lot more responsibility that your lead has, okay, on their mind and on their heart and on their shoulders than you're carrying, all right? So I want you to change that perspective a little bit. Here's the second thing. So you sitting down, you having perspective. The second thing is asking for a meeting, okay, and you being specific. And the third thing that I would do in that situation is to understand something very important. The grass is not always greener on the other side, okay? And for some reason, if it is, you still got to get to the other side. And when you get to the other side, you got to mow it, okay? Listen, every church has its set of problems. Every setting, organization. Do you know that communication organizations have communication problems? Because we're human, okay? So what it's going to take is you understanding, okay, that every place is not perfect. Listen, you're going to be in a church where maybe the relationship with the lead is fantastic, but you don't have facilities. And you wish you had facilities like the church down the road. Or maybe you're at a church where you've got great facilities, but there's one school and it's a smaller town, right? And you're like, man, there's not enough students to reach here. Or maybe you're in a larger setting and you've got a multiple staff youth team, and you love that team, but there's 10 other pastors on the staff, and you don't get along with all of them, and you don't do life with all of them, and there's no chemistry with them, right? Listen, no matter where you go, there's going to be a weakness, because the church isn't perfect. And if you're always looking at the other side of the street, or looking at the grass that's greener on the other side of the hill, just remember, at some point, you have to make the journey to get to the other side of the hill. And when you get there and you think the grass is greener, it's going to grow and you got to cut it. So it's always going to be work, okay? So, hey, I hope that helped tonight. I didn't see any more questions come. You know what? Let me deal with the one more question. We're just at about 12 minutes or so here after our lead in. Let me go with the one more question that was sent in, because it really is kind of relative to all of these tonight with youth leadership and then the staff issues that go on sometimes. The other question was, how do I know when it's time for me to leave? Okay? How do I know when it's time for me to leave? I love talking about this because it's the longevity question. So I'm 57 years old, okay? I turned that this week. And this is my 35th year in youth ministry, okay? 35 years, okay? No excuses, okay? No excuses. There's no reason for you to run a youth ministry career for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, or even 10. Now, I do want to default to God's will in your life, okay? I'm not the voice of the Holy Spirit in your life, but I will tell you this. In my travels, I have so many conversations with youth leaders, and I'm telling you right now, for a fact, this is anecdotal, there's no statistics on this, but this is for a fact. The youth leaders that I talk to that want to leave their church, okay, and make a change, they're not leaving because the Holy Spirit or God has spoken to them. That's not the number one reason. Now, I do believe that some of those youth leaders leave youth ministry because the Lord had them in this for a season, right, and they're moving on. I get that. But the majority, I'm telling you, you got to understand, I'm in these conversations all the time. The majority are not leaving because it's God's will. You want to know what I think the number one reason is? Because they're not solving problems. And if you don't solve problems, it's easy to just pack up and go. Okay, relational problems, economy problems, leadership problems, delegation problems, family problems, staff problems, all of that stuff. Listen, youth ministry, all kinds of leadership positions are about solving problems. That's what's most important, okay? So instead of thinking, God's moving me on because it's difficult, why don't you work on solving problems so that you don't take those to the next place? So specifically in answering that question, let me say this. You've got to pray about it. And the way I've always felt when we talk about praying about it is simple. Do the last thing God told you to do. The last thing God told me to do was in 1981, okay? He told me to go into youth ministry. And he told me that I was going to have a long career in it and that this is what I was going to do. And I talk to him every day and he hasn't changed his mind, okay? God doesn't change his mind on his plans for your life. Okay? We have to change ourselves. We have to reinvent ourselves to stay current with what we're doing. So anyway, I hope that helps a little bit too. Again, what happens here. When we're done, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna put it on YouTube, on all of our social media, on iTunes, and you can follow us. I'll put some graphics up there too. And then finally also on Tuesday, the blog will go up too, the manuscript from this. So I think you're going to learn a lot, okay? So, hey, thank you for joining us. Man, 3 great questions, all right, tonight. Thank you for doing that. And for joining us on Sunday night for 12 minutes of learning that turned into, 17 minutes? But there was like 2 minutes of when we do this, okay, when we do the resource. And I came on early tonight too, so a little patience there. But if you're watching us live on Facebook or on YouTube, thank you, okay? Thank you. I take this very seriously. And if you're listening to us, okay, at our iTunes or on youthology.com, thank you for joining us. And I hope that you have a great week. I'm going to make it a great week because it's all about